everybody, welcome to the K9 Mask tutorial for 400 subscribers. Just a few things before I get started. Number one, this is not my real voice. I'm using a voice changer for safety reasons. And then the second one is that this tutorial is very advanced. And I would recommend, if you're a beginner mask maker, that you start with something a little bit simpler before moving on to a realistic mask like this. So the animal we're going to be making for this mask is a black wolf canine. So yeah, let's get started. So the basic materials you're going to need are craft foam like EVA foam, elastic, a cat mask, scissors, shavers, hot glue gun, hot glue sticks, mesh, black paint, and paintbrushes. Also black fur and black fleece. And I use this to shape the nose and eyes. So first thing you're going to want to do is cut off the ears and the muzzle of the mask. I also cut off the thin elastic. Here I'm using sculpting foam to make the eyes smaller. Here I'm just drawing some semi-circle-y shapes to cover up the holes you made from the ears. I do this on the craft foam. They don't have to look exactly like this, but they should cover the holes from the ears. I glue them to the back of the mask and then use scissors to shape them to the mask shape. Here is the pattern for the nose bridge. It's about 1 inch, and then for the pattern for the side of the muzzle, it's about 2.5 inches. Now flip over the side muzzle pattern to make the other side of the muzzle. Now glue the side muzzle pieces to the nose bridge. I like to leave a little less than 1 inch on the top of the nose bridge so it can glue more smoothly onto the mask. Once it is glued on, it should look kind of like an umbrella shape. Now you're going to make a piece that kind of looks like this. Doesn't be perfect. It just has to fit onto the top or like the front side of the muzzle to give it more shape. It should look like this when you glue it on. I carved it out here, but you don't have to since the fur will cover it up. Here's what it looks like when it's glued onto the mask. Make sure that all the sides of the muzzle are glued down. Here are the shapes that you're going to want for the ears. Now don't be stupid like me and glue the ears on. You have to wait and keep them off so that you can fur them before you put them onto the mask. Here, take your fur and your mask, and the shape you're going to want for the fur is like a little bit bigger than your mask. And keep in mind that you're going to have to accommodate for the muzzle since it's a little longer, so you're going to have to go a little bit lower. Also, keep in mind before you cut the fur out that the fur direction is going towards the top of the head and not to the side or down or anything. When cutting the fur out, make sure that you're not cutting the actual fur and you're just cutting the fabric. always brush the fur in the direction it is going before you shave. When you shave, make sure to shave just the middle and then leave the sides and the top of the fur longer to make the mask look fluffier. So you can see here that the top and the sides are still long, while the fur on the middle is shorter. So this part's kind of hard to explain, but you'll kind of understand. So what you're going to want to do is glue the top of the fur laying like inside out to the top of the mask, kind of like on the top. It's kind of complicated, but you'll see here. So you'll glue it at the top and then continue to just fold it over the mask and glue it, and making sure that the fur direction is going towards the top of the head. Once you glue it all the way down to the muzzle, you're first gonna glue the nose bridge, and then you're gonna glue the cheeks and the side of the muzzle. And then once you do that, you're gonna do the front of the muzzle, which is a little complicated. But I'll show you how to do it. It's kind of weird because you have to kind of cut it, and so that when you fold it over, it's just a straight line. This is because it'll make it symmetrical and there'll not be any bumps. Here's what that looks like when it's glued down, so it shouldn't be like lumpy and there shouldn't be anything in the way. You're gonna want to cut away all the fur, all the excess fur, and leave just like a little less than an inch. Same with around the mask, but you're gonna leave. So you're gonna like fold in the less than an inch of fur on the muzzle, but you're gonna leave the rest of the mask just like that. Don't glue it under. Now you're gonna shave the fur. You already shaved it before you glued it on, but just to make it like move more smoothly into the longer fur and define the muzzle more, you're just gonna go back in and clean up some of the edges and tufts of fur. An important thing to shave is the front of the muzzle. This is because when you hot glue it, it may have gotten messy. And then especially make sure you glue under the muzzle where we folded it underneath. I forgot to record the eyes, but it's the same as any other cat mask. It might just be harder because the fur is more dense, and so you just have to make sure you trim that. Okay, now it's time for the ears. So you're gonna go back over your fur and you're gonna trace like the ears like twice, but you're not gonna flip them over. You're just gonna trace them twice and then do that with the other ear as well. So you're gonna end up with these two patches on either side of the ear. Make sure that the fur direction is going up. Now you're gonna wanna shave the back of the ear, like super short, like we did with the face. Yeah, I just want to make sure it's short and then on the back and then long in the front. And now you're going to make this little part on the front of the ear where the fur is. And then the fur on the right side is the part you're going to shave. I went back and I shaved more. It just depends on how much fur tuft you want. But yeah, and then once you shave it, brush it back, and then it should look something like this. It also changes the ear size, by the way. Okay, now that you're ready to glue the ears on, you're gonna part the head fur like this, where you want the ears to be like right in the middle of that part. And you're gonna glue them on, so put glue on the back of the ear, and you should still see some EVA foam, because that's what's gonna connect. Yeah, and so just hold that on there until it dries. you're gonna notice that it's pretty bouncy. If you want to keep it bouncy, that's your choice, but I'll show you how to fix the bounciness. So yeah, if you like the bouncy, you can keep it, but how to fix it is you're gonna get some pins like this, and you're gonna pin it into the ear and then through the whole mask, so it should go through the ear and then to the back, and then you're gonna use scissors or pliers, whatever you have, to cut it to make a little stud. Then I'm gonna actually show this, but you're gonna cover it with a little piece of foam or like EVA foam so that it doesn't stab you. And this is the difference it makes. And so I did that on both ears. And then you can use black paint or a Sharpie or whatever you have to cover up the pins so you can't see them, but the fur usually does a pretty good job doing that. Okay, now for the nose, I use the air dry sculpting foam to make the nose. Now you're gonna get your black paint and you're gonna put a whole lot onto your nose and then use a paintbrush to just kind of move that around. And your hands are for sure gonna get paint on them because you want to make sure that you get the paint everywhere. Yeah, and then once you're finished painting it, set it off to dry. While that dries, get your mask and get your black fleece and you're gonna lay it out and put your mask down on it. And so basically you're gonna want to make this like ovally shape for the main area of the mask. And then for the muzzle, you're gonna want like a different shape. So it'll be two shapes. And you're gonna want to like the oval shape and like this. And then you're also gonna want the like muzzle shape. This is the muzzle shape that I used. It works pretty well. You can cut out your eye shapes. They don't have to be perfect because we're gonna cover them with more fleece later. So just glue them down and make sure they're not getting in the way of the vision at all. Okay, so this is how you're gonna make removable eyes. So this is optional, but you're gonna take felt. You're gonna take these little Velcro things, and obviously you're gonna take your mesh. So you're gonna cut out eye shapes. They should be pretty exact into your felt, and then you're gonna cut your mesh to fit inside that felt, and then paint your mesh. And while that dries, we're gonna work on the nose. So figure out where you want the nose to be on the mask. And then once you know, you're gonna cut the fur super, super short or almost to the like bottom where you can see the base. And then you're gonna glue that on right on top of that. So it like sticks better. And yeah, and you shouldn't be able to see anything actually. It should stick pretty well onto your mask. This step is completely optional, but I like to use clear nail polish to make the nose shiny. It kind of works like Mod Podge, but instead of like just making it sealed, it also makes it shiny. Okay, now that the meshes are dry, you're gonna take the Velcro and you're gonna cut out the like corners of the square of the Velcro, and you're gonna have these little triangles. So make 8 of those triangles, and you're gonna use hot glue. You're gonna put the hot glue in the corners of the mesh, and then you're gonna glue the little Velcro corners onto the mesh. And then you should do this for all 4 corners, and then on both of the eyes. The mesh should stick pretty well onto the felt. Yeah, it shouldn't come off very easily. I personally just paint my eyes black, but they also can be follow me eyes if you want. Okay, the last step is the elastic. So I cut out like 9.5 inches, but it depends on whatever works for your head. And then you're gonna glue it on like this. And then I use like little pieces of the lining to make it more secure. here it is done. The mask is all finished. You can go back and trim anything if you want to make it look cleaner. But that's the end of the tutorial, and I hope you really enjoyed it, and I hope to help.